Hey guys, welcome to another session of RBTL. Today is just a very short one. It's really just my thoughts on Pavel. Now, I did make an earlier video doing analysis when the Korean Pavel video was released. And during that night, we got the data mine in terms of Pavel's damage mods. Now, he's marketed as someone that can take out SSB, and I think SSB is probably the biggest niche for him. I have to say, in terms of every other hero I can think of. The video, if you watch the YouTube video, they actually say that Pavel is excellent in arena, and specifically arena, and I think there's a reason why. Because in arena you could control the fight, and in most circumstances they're gonna have some sort of damage mitigator. So if they have SSB themselves, they may have an MLCC with an adamant shield, they might be running a C Armin with an Aureus or something like that. So originally when we were looking at Pavel's skills, I was thinking that he might be a game changer, but I didn't expect him to be super strong, because I just don't think that if he was, he would be actually pretty OP. So before we got the damage mods, people were already speculating, okay, so they already have Yufine, so should they really have Pavel? And what they mean by that is they can already take out SSB pretty easily with Yufine. Now, Yufine did get a rerun single banner as well, with a pity this time. So if you guys have pull for Yufine, consider yourself lucky. In terms of Pavel here, I don't think he's really bad. He's just not he's not super game changing, and what I'm not asking for meta either. I don't think every single hero needs to bring a new meta. That would just kill the game too fast, too quick, in my opinion. But his mods are low, so I think that night we got so speed scaling is okay. All his skills S1, S2, S3 have speed scaling, but his S3 mod is extremely low. I think his S2 is 0.9 or 0.8, something decent for an AoE, but the S3 is a 1.2, 1.3. In perspective, Earth Sid has about a 1.6, and if you soul burn it, Sid has a 2.2. That's with speed scaling, and Earth Sid has one of the highest speed scalings in the game. Pavel, of course, when we talked about it in that video, if you haven't checked that out, we go through more in depth. But he has a self-imprint, which is up to 18% attack, and he has really high base attack. Virgo Rangers, very high base attack. So he has that going for him. So in terms of damage, he's not going to be exceeding, let's say, a Yufine for a single target. But of course, he does bring his own kit to the table. We're going to talk about it just slightly here. His damage mod for the S1, if I remember correctly, is pretty standard as well. I think it's a 1x mod or less than that. Again, with some speed scaling. He has high base speed as well, so that's something to keep in mind. If you guys have fire Lyticas, you guys can compare those stats. You could build your fire Lytica right now with your quote-unquote Pavel gear and see how much damage or how much stats you can push out of that. If you read the S1, we're just gonna go S1 down to S3. Up to a 75% chance to do the blind, so the decreased hit chance for 1 turn, and then damage dealt proportional to the caster's speed. Again, like I said, nothing really amazing. And again, of course, the question is do you want to run him before your Oxlots? I know people were theory crafting comps with him. I know we will, because he's cool. He's a cool damage dealer, so cool DPS heroes. Generally, we're gonna see some showcase videos, but that being said, just because there are people showcasing the video doesn't mean he's necessarily good. It's just that they built him for that one occasion, and maybe they won't use him again. In terms of, I think, to build him up as a core hero, he probably won't be, but I'm getting ahead of myself. S2, if you see the After Awakening, grants the caster increased attack for 2 turns before firing a strong blast of winds at enemies, and then damage increases proportional to the caster's speed. This is attack buff before he does the hit, which I would say this and the S3 combined is sort of interesting, since I don't think we've seen an AoE DPS that does an attack buff since Charles, but Charles, of course, is an AoE attack buff, which is quite different. So he sets himself up. So the idea I think a lot of people had was run him really fast, faster than Oxlots. Since he has higher base speed than Oxlots, it's generally easier to get him fast. Get him faster, do soul burn, S2 into S3, maybe kill one off, and then C-Dom would come in, push, and then Oxlots can either push him back for a 3-man team, or push in another damage dealer, something like that. So conceptually, there's no problem, but like I said, it's very stylish. I am curious at this point though, if you run him on a defense team, what's his AI priority in terms of the skills? Is he going to go to S2 first and then S3? I highly doubt that, but it would be nice. I think if he actually does an AoE to start with a self-attack buff, would be nice, but we'll have to find out. The S2, like I said, has a 1-turn cooldown. You take that out, you have a 3-turn cooldown. So if you mold this to +3, 3-turn cooldown on this, okay, that's pretty normal for an S2. And like I said, it's nothing amazing. I would say don't be fooled by this video. Like we don't know what kind of damage he's running there. Look at it, he does the AoE in this snapshot, and Eaton is taking 8,700 damage. Of course, Eaton has a 30% quote-unquote Aureus, so he has the damage share for the entire team there. But we don't know how well they're built. So, and we don't know how well that Pavel is built in comparison. So don't be like, ooh, that's actually really good. Look, like half HP on most of these tanky heroes. So let's not be fooled. Oh, also because actually you could take a look at the damage done on the Proteus, damage done on the Cigarette. Something doesn't really add up there, and the Cigarette, I think at this point actually has decent HP still, but I'm not going to play the video to show. Regardless, it doesn't mean he's bad. He just doesn't have any crit rate innate, so he's at 15% crit rate and 150% crit damage. No crit damage increase from his awakening, so he's a bit tough. Especially, I think you really want him to be at 100% crit rate. I don't think you're gonna really treat him as a bruiser. So ideally, 100% crit rate is the go for. So you're gonna be fishing for a lot of stats. And then the S3 does ignore. So this is a new mechanic that's added now. So except elite monsters and boss monsters, the damage sharing effect is ignored. And then of course it says damage dealt increases proportionally to cashless speed. Now outside of the mod being low but his base attack being high, and if you can get some speed on him, that'd be great. So like a Yuna starter would be pretty good too. Potentially get the 30% greater attack buff with a speed buff. If you're not going to run him super speedy just as a DPS, that might be a really good combo as well. If you can ignore the damage, so on an SSB, I'm pretty sure you can kill her in one shot. Now, the only other thing is that if they have an adamant shield, they have a sea armor on team, or if that SSB is on proof of valor, we'll have to see, what kind of stats you go, but it just should have no problem taking down like 11,000 HP, 12,000 HP. Especially you can maximal this for 30% more damage. It should kill her with the elemental advantage. During the Korean video, it's different. They have a different script running actually for the Korean video versus the English release video, where the Korean one made very strong emphasis on this means that you can kill SSB. Like we're talking about the damage share portion. It means you could ignore SSB's damage share, Eaton, ML Crozet, anyone with Aureus. Basically that was what was said in that video, so it's kind of interesting. So I think originally when that was released there, that note was very important to sell Pavel. Now I think that Pavel at the moment, with his mods, with what kind of stats you really need out of him, I think the crit rate is probably the portion that he's going to struggle with the most. With all that said, I think Pavel is not very must-pull hero at this point, okay? Now, I know some people are gonna probably like stuff a sock in my mouth after I say this, because there's a potential he can get buffed, all right? So my advice though is, if you're a free-to-play player, since he's not a limited hero, and you have like someone like Eufine or someone that could deal with SSB, if you do struggle with SSB, that could deal with SSB quite like easily, I would definitely look into skipping this banner. But if you think that, you know, he might get a buff later. He might be you might be investing in him. Yeah, for sure, pull 1. Like I said, his imprint concentration is 18% attack if you get him at a triple S. So I mean, there's no wrong in that, especially he has high base attack. So there's no wrong investing in that. But in terms of where his damage mod lies right now, he's not good enough. In my opinion, in the future, if they do buff him, all they need to do is jack up his damage mod slightly. Either the speed scaling, if they don't want it to be super OP, or the attack scaling just slightly, like they did for Lilibet. So it's definitely not out of the question. It's definitely still within reasonable means. Now, that's my thought on Pavel there. So his artifact is actually interesting to me, more interesting than him right now. If I was gonna pull for this banner, which I think I will, I'll pull for 1 Pavel for collection, and just in case he does get buffed. His artifact actually seems pretty interesting for me. So increases the attacker, the attack of the caster by 2% when the ally makes a critical hit. Effect can be stacked up to 12 times, so up to 24% attack. And if you're putting this on Pavel himself, he'll be able to get it pretty quick, because, you know, ideally you do the soul burn, so the S2 AoE 3 to 4 targets there, and then into the S3, so 4 to 5 stacks already off like right there. So, but the question is though, like outside of stacking for the initial S3, would they survive long enough? Because he's not a bruiser, he's not going to be sustaining the fight. But I think why I like this one is because I think this could be useful for like DPS Fire Litica, DPS ML Litica as well. I was throttled in RTA the other day. I think it was on Vinny's account. I was on my own. I forgot. I was like not expecting a Fire Litica to be doing damage. I thought it was just be going for that like really fast CR pushback thing. But it ended up being a cleaver in DPS, and of course the ML Liticas can be built for high damage as well. So I think in those cases, because ML Litica can do similar to what Pavel can do, except that she doesn't need the soul burn. She can just do the S2 and then do the S3 right away. So I mean, because she does her own CR boost, so it's kind of interesting to run that with her. I don't know what other people would run with her. I don't know what artifacts her main, because I don't own ML Litica. I assume if you don't have enough effectiveness, Cursed Compass, but probably like a Proof of Valor or some sort of damaging one. But this one would be interesting on her for DPS ML Litica. Yeah, and if we got our side story, I'm not gonna talk too much about this. Not much. Not much there. So anyways, I'm just gonna wrap up my thoughts again. I think compared to when I originally speculated Pavel's like skill, I was saying in that video, I was saying that I'm gonna be very conservative in my estimation on his usefulness, because Alencia looked like amazing. Like skill sets, like Pavel looks good too. Alencia looked amazing, and it came out with like a 0.5 like attack mod with pretty like standard HP scaling. So Alencia ended up not being like a go-to damage dealer, but she's really good utility hero. Like, I mean, I'm maining her in a lot of arena fights that I'm going into now, and she definitely has her place even in RTA. But Pavel at the moment, I feel that he shares a very similar role to Yufine, especially with the setup heroes you would run with Pavel. Most likely you're gonna get an attack buff for him regardless of his own. So I feel like Yufine is a bit stronger, because Yufine can strip, Yufine can silence, can stun, and defense break as well. So I'm just comparing these two. I know that a lot of people might be saying that they're not comparable. They're kind of comparable based on the marketing on where Pavel lies. I think they're kind of comparable, and both have attack imprints as well, concentration. Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Again, like I said, if you're a new player, if you're free to play, he looks cool, and believe me, he looks really cool. And I wish he was a bit stronger, but I would totally skip it. Limited banners may be coming, and there's always speculation. Oh, when's the next limited? it could be coming soon. So if you're free to play, definitely save your bookmarks there. Again, like I said, I'm gonna be going for 1. Hopefully I get a couple of the artifacts just to start. But I'm gonna end this for my thoughts here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.